That's tough. This.
I'm ready. Thank you. Thank you very much. And welcome. It's good to be here. Is it good to be here? It's good to be here. Of course it's good to be here. It's good to have me. I'm glad to have me here too. You know, a funny thing, I was doing something very active the other day and I thought, it's great to be mobile. Not everybody is as mobile. But anyway, welcome to the Coffee House. My name is Steve Campbell, and I'm playing piano this morning. You never would have guessed, would you? Sing, okay. Just play. And I'm going to play this thing too. What is it? Okay, good. We'll have a learning experience later on. I won't tell you what it is. I'll answer the two questions that everybody wants to know when I play it. I have to drink my ginger lemon tea this morning. Ginger lemon tea. Are you sunshine? You look different. Okay. You're not in a cowboy outfit. Okay. Okay. This is a song from the 40s. I'm gonna take a sentimental journey. I'm gonna set my heart at ease. I'm gonna take a sentimental journey home. I got my bag, I got my reservation. I spent each dime that I could afford. Like a child in wild anticipation, I long to hear that all aboard. 7, that's the time we leave at 7. I'll be waiting up for heaven. Counting every mile of railroad track that takes me back. Well, why did I ever get so yearning? Why did I decide to roam? I'm gonna take a sentimental journey home. Seven, that's the time we leave at 7. I'll be waiting up for heaven, counting every mile of railroad track that takes me back. Well, why did I ever get so yearning? Why did I decide to roam? I'm gonna take a sentimental journey home. A sentimental journey home. I'm gonna take a sentimental journey home. Thank you. I'm going to be doing some jazz, country, maybe Beatles, maybe classical. I don't know, whatever pops in my head, unless anybody directs me otherwise. And no one to talk with, I'm all by myself. There's no one to walk with, but I'm happy on the shelf. I ain't misbehaving, I'm saving all my love for you. I'm through with flirting, it's just you I'm thinking of. I feel like a dove. I ain't misbehaving, I'm saving all my love for you. I like Jack Horner, sitting in the corner. I don't go nowhere, but what do I care? Your kisses are worth all my waiting for. Please believe me. I don't stay out late, I don't care to go home about 8, it's just me and my radio. I ain't misbehaving, I'm saving my love for you. Like Jack Horner in the corner, I don't go nowhere, but what do I care? Your kisses are worth all my waiting for. Please believe me, I don't stay out late, I don't care to go. I'm home about 8, it's just me and my radio. I ain't misbehaving, saving my love for you. Saving my love for you. Fly me back to Memphis. I've gotta find my Daisy Jane. Summer's gone, and I hope that she's feeling the same. Well, I left her just to roam the city, thinking it would ease the pain. I'm a crazy man, and I know I'm playing my crazy game. Does she really love me? I think she does. Like the stars above me, I know, because when the sky is bright, everything's gonna be alright. Well, fly me back to Memphis. Well, honey, why don't you keep the oven warm? I know the clouds are clearing, and I think we're over the storm. I've been picking it up all around me, and Daisy, I think I'm sane. I'm awful glad, and I guess you're really to blame. Does she really love me? I think she does. Like the stars above me, I know, because when the sky is bright, everything's gonna be alright. Thank you. I bet nobody can name the person that wrote that song. Nope. He's famous in some circles. A guy named Floyd Kramer. He was a Nashville studio musician, and he's sort of, I guess you could say, he came up with this lick. That particular sound. You don't find it in classical. So it's changed all sorts of piano playing in different genres. Uh-oh. Do you want to hear this? What is it? It's a blow xylophone. Yeah, the winner. That's the best answer. It's the answer to the two questions somebody always asks when I play this. First answer is, it is called a melodica, and no, it does not have batteries. It's not electronic whatsoever. It has reeds inside of it. And you blow in it, and you play it like a keyboard, like a piano. So I'm going to attempt to play this and play the piano at the same time. Sometimes it works. Most of the time it works. Unless this thing falls off. We'll try it. Summertime, and the living is so easy. Fish are jumping, you know the cotton is so high. Your daddy's so rich, and your mama's so good looking. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings, you're gonna wake up singing. You'll spread your wings and take off to the sky. But till that morning, oh, there's nothing that can harm you. With Daddy and Mama standing right by. time, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. One of this morning I'm gonna wake up singing, with Daddy and Mama standing right by your side. With Daddy and Mama standing right by your side. Here's a Beatles song. Any Beatles fans? No, everybody loves the Beatles. I know. This does not sound like a Beatles song, does it? It's my way. Here come old flat top, here come grooving up slowly. He got Juju eyeball, here's one. Oh, holy roly, he's got hair down to his knee. Got to be a joker, he just do what he please. Well, he wear no shoe shine, he got toe jump football, he's got monkey finger, he shoot Coca-Cola, he say, I know you, you know me. One thing I can tell you is you got to be free. We'll come together right now over me. He back production, he's got walrus combo, he's got oh no sideburn, he's won a spinal cracker, he's got hair down below his feet. Hold you in his armchair, you can feel his disease. Come together right now over me. 5'2", eyes blue. Oh, what those 5 foot could do. Has anybody seen my cow? Well, turned up nose, turned down hose, had no other pose. Has anybody seen my cow? Now if you run into a 5'2", covered with furs, diamond rings, and all those things, I bet your life that it is not her. Well, could she love? Could she coo? Could she coo? Has anybody seen my cow? And if you run into a 5'2" that's covered with fur, diamond rings, and all those things, I bet your life that is it's not her. Could she love? Could she coo? Could she coo? Has anybody seen? Has anybody seen? Has anybody seen my girl? The what? The blow xylophone is amazing. Do you want to do a song? Do you have a guitar in your pocketbook? You're probably all sung out. You play the end. You might could play this. It's small. It's just a baby piano. Okay. This is? Could be. If it were country. Let's see. Let's make it country. It's hard to do. Forgot what I was doing. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, I love you. Okay. This next song is something I wrote, and it was inspired by 1 Corinthians 13. The Apostle Paul talked about love and all the things you can do and how useless and pointless they are if your motivation is not of love. So it is called If I Don't Have Love. I could sing to the whole world, blessing people everywhere, but I would just be making noise if I don't have love. I could have so much faith that I could move a mountain, but I would still be nothing if I don't have love. I could give all that I own and all my time to God's work, but I would gain nothing if I don't have love. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy and it does not boast. Out of faith, hope, and love, I need love most. I could sing in a church choir, singing hymns in harmony, but I would just be making noise if I don't have love. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy and it does not boast. Out of faith, hope, and love, you know I need love most. I could sing to the whole world, blessing people everywhere. I would just be making noise if I don't have love. I could be a philosopher, have all understanding, but I would still be nothing if I don't have love.
Now I'm on the mic. Am I on the mic? Yeah? Okay. Sounds good. They're going to play with it and get it to the right volume for me as I settle myself here. One of my things on my wish list for in here is actually a lapel mic or an over-the-ear mic, because I feel like I have to be on the mic all the time when I'm talking. Yeah, they do. And they made them in the last century too, believe it or not. Yeah. So they do. Hello, everyone. My name is Pastor Madeline. For those of you who don't know me, welcome. If it's your first time or 150th time here, welcome to all the people that are joining us online on Facebook Live. We are happy to have you with us, no matter how you're joining us. If you are on Facebook Live, know that you can make a comment or ask a question at any time, and Colin will let us know, and we'll answer it or share it with our group. So, a couple things I would like to just tell you about before we get moving today. It has come to my attention that people might not know that we have parking stickers from the church, that if you would like to park in the lot across the street here, there's limited spaces. But if you'd like to park in the lot across the street here only on Sundays, you are able to do that with a parking sticker only Sunday mornings, I should be clear, while we're here. You can take a parking sticker, they're on this red table over here, and put it on your windshield, and you should be okay. I say should because we don't always control the world and how it happens, but if you have a problem, you can just let us know. That they're also good for the lot at Dean Lopez Funeral Home on Simonton Street, and that lot says it's like paid parking, but only on Sunday mornings. By 12:30, you'd have to be out of there. 12:15. You are able to park in there too, free. So, and we have more parking, just so you know, on, is it Bahama Street? Is that the name of it? Where the lot for Fausto's is. It's not the lot next to Fausto's. It's the next lot closest to Southern. And you'll see signs that say MC, Methodist Church, is what that means. No, no, not MC Hammer. No, MC. So you can park over there too. Okay, business done. Oh, wait, one other quick thing. You may see the Super Bowl of Caring buckets over here. Today is Super Bowl Sunday, and we have a Super Bowl of Caring that we do here, where you have the opportunity to vote with your money for either team, the Chiefs or the Eagles, or you can vote for the commercials and the halftime show. And what that does is we will have a winner. We'll let you know who it is, and you get bragging rights. But what it does is everybody wins because it's a feeding program that we donate that money to. And this year we are donating it to the Inez Martin Child Care Development Center backpack program. And they send home backpacks with nutritious food for the weekend with children that need it. So anyway, that's your opportunity for today. So today I would like to talk a little bit about Black History Month. February is Black History Month in our country, in other countries too, actually, a few others. And I want to talk about what it is and why it's important, and get you to discuss a little bit about where we are with honoring Black History Month and honoring our siblings of color. So let me read something from NPR. This was an article on NPR a couple of years ago, and then we'll stop as we go along and we'll talk about it. About 10 years ago, Shukri Hassan Tillman, is it Tillman? Yeah, Tillman tried to cancel Black History Month. Outfitted in a sandwich board with the words "End Black History Month" written across the front, he walked the streets of New York City looking for people to sign his petition to do away with it. To figure out what Tillman was up to, it helps to know the other side of his placard read, "Black history is American history." It also helps to know he was filming all this for a documentary he made called More Than a Month. Some people think it was a stunt, says Tillman. In some ways, it was one, but he was also being genuine. Tillman says core impulse for his petition to end Black History Month was rooted in his childhood. Both of his parents were school teachers, and those posters of famous Black people that go up on classroom walls and in school hallways every February were in his house year-round. When he was little, Black History Month was exciting. But as he kept hearing the same stories of a few sanitized heroes repeated just 1 month a year, it began to feel insulting. Keep that in your mind, okay? We were visible for 11 months, but no one recognized us except for 1 month. I want to tell you the history of how Black History Month came about, and then we're going to stop and talk for a minute. In 1926, a gentleman named Woodson founded Negro History Week, which would grow into what we now know as Black History Month. The idea was to make resources available for teachers, Black teachers, to celebrate and talk about the contributions that Black people had made to America, says this person, somebody named Whitehead, the founding executive director of the Carson Institute of Race, Peace, Social Justice at Loyola University. Whitehead is also the former secretary of the Association of African American Studies. The historical context of the moment is also key, according to this person. African Americans were 50 or so years outside of slavery and trying to figure out their space in the United States, she says. 1926, keep that in mind, right? Is that what I said? Yep. The space was being violently demarcated by white supremacy. We were experiencing segregation, lynchings, mass murders, and massacres, says Barry. A few years before was the 1919's so-called Red Summer, when white mobs attacked Black neighborhoods and cities. Then, in 1921, the Tulsa Race Massacre. So I want to stop there. So we've heard that how Black History Month came about. We have this person that's wearing this sandwich board that says "End Black History Month," but we know now that he was doing that because he felt it was needed to be more than a month and needed to be a focus always, right? And then we've gotten to why Black History Week, or the predecessor to Black History Month, came about because of the atmosphere of the country and the things that were happening. Okay, my first question to all of you is, how many of you know about the Tulsa Race Massacre and Black Wall Street? Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 people in this room know about the Tulsa Race Massacre and Black Wall Street. I say wow, not to insult the rest of you in any way, shape, or form. I have to admit, I didn't know what that was until probably well into my adult years, probably maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, honestly. What it was a time in May 31st to June 1st, 1921, in Tulsa. There's a place called the Greenwood District. It was looted and burned by white rioters. Something had erupted over somebody being arrested. People were protesting, but got out of hand. And white rioters burned this district to the ground. 35 city blocks were charred and ruined. 800 people were injured. 36 deaths were reported, but we now believe that there were more than 300 deaths because they were not reported. Mostly of Black people. Black Wall Street was part of that district, and Black Wall Street was an area where very successful African American people had settled and created businesses and was growing and was thriving. Okay, so why did I ask you if you knew about the Tulsa race riots or Black Wall Street? Why do you think that's important that we would know about that? Anybody? Or let me back up. How do you feel that you didn't know about that? Anybody brave enough to tell me how you felt that you don't? News doesn't highlight. Scott?
There's hundreds of stories like that for every ethnic group.
Absolutely.
So you can't know them all.
True. Can't know them all. But I have to tell you that the reason I didn't know it was because no one ever taught it to me. No one ever taught me a lot of things about a lot of ethnic groups, to Scott's point, that are integral parts of who we are as people who live in this country and a part of our history. So why do we not talk about these things? Anybody? Why is it difficult? They're uncomfortable.
There's been budget cuts on history departments. I don't think there's enough time in the history curriculum, and so they shortened things and added a lot out that's important because we cut the number of teachers and the number of hours given to the history.
That's a very valid point. But that I would push back and say that means we have to make a decision what history we do teach and what history we don't teach. And interestingly enough, often the history we don't teach is the really difficult history of the things that we that we are not proud of, or maybe still do. Anybody want to answer to that? Anybody have anything to say to what I just said? Do you agree with that? Do you think that's wrong? You know, I never have an easy discussion in here, right?
No, you don't.
I taught I taught U.S. history in San Diego and in Chicago for many years, and I did my master's in U.S. history at San Diego State University of Illinois Chicago. And so, from my perspective, what has sorely been missing in the teaching of history is and the history textbooks and all of this is a pretty much a sanitized version that America is in every textbook. There's studies shown that they have to have terms like the progress of America, the march of democracy, those kinds of things. And so the bottom up history, the stories of the Triangle waste factory in Brooklyn, where 200 Jewish girls were burned alive because the managers would chain lock the back doors and they couldn't get out for the fire. The Ludlow mine disaster, where the American government just set up machine guns on top of a hill and machine gun miners for the horrendous crime of striking against these silver mines. So those are the stories of the Tulsa massacre that are colorful, that are interesting, that are key parts of the mosaic of America. And of course, there's great positive things in American history. The lunar landing, the winning of World War I, World War II, all kinds of great positive stuff. Democracy, the end of slavery, and all. But you've got to teach the whole story and tell the stories. Yeah.
Right. And I thank you, Dewey. You know, it's about shying away from difficult discussions for me too. That it's just easier not to talk about some of the ugly things that have happened even in our world in general, because it's a happier conversation to say, let's talk about what we have in common. That's great. And we should talk about what we have in common. But that doesn't mean that these other things didn't happen. And though those things aren't foundational to who we are as people. And isn't it what do you think? I'm going to throw this out to you. Do you believe that in looking at the way the things that have happened in the past that were maybe mistakes, that maybe they'd help us not make those mistakes in the future. Does anybody agree with that? Yeah? All right. Well, let's keep going in this article. You're all kind of looking at me like deer in headlights right now. Let me keep going. By the time he was growing up in New York City public schools in the 1980s, this gentleman who had contributed to this article named Jeffries says Black History Month felt very much like, let's talk about Black people for a couple of days. It was the usual cast of characters, he says, Martin Luther King Jr., Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, a couple of Black inventors, and then we'd move on. He said in school, all of a sudden, everything became about Black people, right? So you're putting your mac and cheese and collard greens out, and then for a week or a month, and then all of a sudden, we didn't talk about anything anymore. So the paradox of Black History Month today, Whitehead says, is that we still need it, even if it's not enough. We want Black history to be American history month. We want Black history to be American history, she says, but we understand that without Black History Month, then we will not teach it within the American history curriculum. Let's stop there for a second. What do you think about what I just read? I mean, we're sitting here, honestly, we're a room full of white people. I'm going to say it out loud. We are a room full of white people here talking about Black History Month. So how do you feel about what I just read from the perspective of a person of color who goes through Black History Month? Yes.
So you can say that, at the same time realize that in context we have all kinds of months.
Mm-hmm.
Every month's a month for something.
Yep.
So whatever it is that one is celebrating, it can't be focused on specifically, for the whole year, because you have another month for something else coming up. So that's one reason, I guess, why Black History Month is focused for a month and not the rest of the time. However, the broader point that it's a part of our overall American history is valid, in my opinion. I think that it ought to be taught throughout the year in a balanced way. There are certainly parts of our history, as Dewey pointed out, that we're not proud of, but I think we need to know about it. Sometimes people say, don't teach that stuff because you're going to make our kids feel guilty. And I don't agree with that, because you can't be guilty for what you were not responsible for. You need to be aware of it, as you said, so that we don't do the same stuff over again. It broadens your vision and it gives you a view of reality, because reality isn't always all rosy. And you're going to meet that reality as you get older, if you're a kid. So I think that it ought to be, but it doesn't have to be stressed in a month, except that we do that for so many other things, right? This is a Women's Heart Month, Valentine's, because it's the leading cause of death for women in America, and most people think it's something else. So we need to put things in context, I think.
I agree. I think that we need to have times throughout our year, in our lives, where we bring important issues or important topics forward, and people forward, to lift them up and to let people know why it's important. I think what this person is saying here is that they feel like Black History Month is in some way tokenizing at the same time as necessary. And necessary for the reasons that John talked about. So the big question I really want to get to is, the United Methodist Church has a very checkered history within race relations in this country. The church even split at one point because we had slave owners in the South, and the Northern Church didn't want to deal with that, right? And then split again numerous times over the same issue of racial equality. Eventually came back together. But how can we, as followers of Jesus, do better at things like Black History Month or inclusion of any kind? What should Black History Month look like in a church? In a white church? Which pains me to have to say even those words, a white church, but yes.
Actually, I was just thinking about this in the last couple of weeks. I believe there is a Methodist American, a Methodist African American Methodist church in town, or at least an
Oh, an
evangelical.
A&E church?
Yes.
A very small one, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I was thinking about our congregation. Our congregation has so few people of color. And what can we do? I was thinking, what can we do to expand that and to get their points of view into our church, and to help them, to help educate everybody in our community. And I tell you, I'm 80 years old. I'm resentful about the education I got in high school, because that's usually where you get your history classes and everything. Just really resentful. I'm resentful about the African American, the slave issue. That was never even taught when I was in high school, and nothing about the Trail of Tears.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have to educate it in every kind of venue that we have and talk about it. It may be uncomfortable, but we need to educate ourselves.
Yeah. Thank you, Kay. Thank you for that. Anybody else? How would you go ahead, Brian?
This happened to me yesterday on one of my morning walks, and it was that Baptist church over here. I think it's whatever street that is over here.
In Newtown or down?
No, it was an old town. I can't think what street.
No.
So as I was walking, no, it wasn't. It was kind of close to the James.
Yeah,
So,
I know what you mean.
okay.
But I don't know the name.
So I'm walking, and these two black young girls were going door to door, putting flyers on the door. And she saw me, and she handed me a flyer. She goes, "We'd love to have you at the church." And I said, "Oh, are you the Black Baptist church right over here?" And she goes, "Yes, we are." And she goes, "And we would welcome having you come to our church."
Good for them.
And I thought that was the coolest thing, that, they didn't, here's a white guy walking down the street, and they hand me a card going, "We would love to have you at our church."
And what would happen if we all did that someday?
And I
Some
think
days,
that's,
right?
that's the handout. That's the lesson, that I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, green, purple, or
We
whatever.
wouldn't have anybody in church. I know.
Just, open your heart. And I thought that was the coolest thing yesterday. I mean, I still have the card sitting on my desk at home.
Right.
I thought I kept that. I thought that was pretty neat.
And I thank you. I just want to say, Kay and Brian, I fully agree that we need to somehow collaborate and be partners with people in our town who are different than us and worship a little differently, but pretty much the same when it comes down to it. But here's the thing. I'm going to be honest with you. We have reached out to some churches, some black churches in town, and I don't blame them for this at all. I find them hesitant to come to us and be with us because they don't want to be assimilated into us. They want I think we should do is honor them by getting to know, them as everyone, as people, right? As individuals. We should be sharing our stories and sharing our lives together, right? So I'll leave it at that. Dewey has something to say there.
So in 1921, here in Key West, the Grand Dragon of Florida lived, and the KKK, everybody, the police chief, the fire chief, the mayor, everyone were members of the KKK, and their goal was to keep the black community down, to make sure that they didn't get economic power in the island. Very viciously ugly year in 1921 here in Key West. Well, the people of Key West, after 1 year, they stood up. these families stood up, the wives, the husbands, the kids stood up and said, no, not here in Key West. And they, the Grand Dragon of the KKK lived on Eaton, or his office was on Eaton Street, a block from our church here. He was out of town, and everyone renounced their KKK membership. So it's an example of a community doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Why did they do the right thing? Because there was a lynching here in Key West. And so there's a great book about the KKK in the early 1920s called Devil in the Grove. And it's about Thurgood Marshall, who came down to Florida for a case. It was a lynching case. 4 young black men were lynched up in northern Florida. So Florida has had a huge history, as Mississippi, as Indiana, as Colorado, of the KKK, of lynchings, of this. And the thing is that would be fascinating history to teach. That would be fascinating to understand the good, the bad, the ugly of Key West, of Florida. You know, it's a shame that we don't teach the good and the bad and the ugly of history. Otherwise, we're just teaching, as my kids used to complain, a list of old dead white men, you know, and dates.
There's definitely a lot of history that we need to make sure that we don't forget. So we're getting towards the end, and I want to tell you about a quote that has inspired me to look at things differently. And by the way, this is a much bigger topic than we can ever cover in 20 minutes. We haven't even scratched the surface of this topic. But before I get to the quote, let me tell you that I chair, as a clergy person in the Southeast District of the Florida Conference of the United Methodist Church, I chair our beloved community team, which used to be called the Anti-Racism Task Force. And we are going to be holding sharing sessions, bringing people together to talk about their stories, to get to know one another with other churches in our areas. That's what our team is working on, helping churches with. So you're going to hear a lot more about this. How do we share our stories with one another? But I had a professor in seminary, Dr. Richard Gray, who said something one day that stayed with me forever. And this, by the way, was said in a class of about 6 of us. It was a very small class, and I was the only white person in the class. He said, and Professor Gray was African American. He said, my take is, and this might be a semi-Martin Luther King thing too, all institutions in America, including the church, were conceived, built, and operate today with only the white man in mind. Now think about that. That might blow your mind, and you're going, no way. Like, what are you talking about? I want to leave you with that, to think about it, to ponder it, to think whether it's true or not, and maybe you'll come up with something that you hadn't seen before. And I would invite us to have conversations with people who believe this to be true in order to find out why they're feeling that way, right? So the last thing I will say is, what can we do as individuals and as the church to move beyond Black History Month and towards a society where we don't need to have a Black History Month? Anybody would like to think about that or talk about that for a minute? I'd be happy to engage that conversation. Let me ask it this way. What's one thing we here at Key West United Methodist Church can do to move beyond the necessity of Black History Month into a society that just, it's interwoven into who we are? Anybody? Scott.
Well, I think, if you look at the world as it is, not the way it was, I've heard a lot about the way it was, but if you look at the way it is now, you just take 10 Americans, you find if you had 1 month for Black, you better have 2 for Asian, and you better have 3 for Hispanic. The world's changing. All of these ethnic varieties are coming together, and we should stop worrying about it and treat everybody as an American and go forward. Don't make judgments. That's my opinion.
Anybody? Well, since I'm the pastor and I have the prerogative to take the last word, I'm going to. Oh, Lisa first.
Red and yellow, black and white, we are precious in his sight. Jesus loves all the children of the world.
Thank you.
Amen. And Jesus honors the heritage and culture and background and everything about each individual that makes us unique. Not a conglomerate of people put together, but a tapestry of people who are unique, who need to be celebrated for who they are. That is how I will end this today, because it's my prerogative to do so. And Jesus did that same thing in the upper room at the night before he died. He brought together people who were different in a lot of ways, maybe not racially or their backgrounds were different too in various ways, but people that were thought differently and loved differently. And he brought them together and said, I want you to remember this moment when I, Jesus, gave up my life for you so that your sins may be forgiven, so that you can leave this place and love everyone else for their uniqueness. So here in the coffee house every week, we talk about, we celebrate communion. We celebrate that last night in that upper room, because that table was open to all, and Jesus's table is always open to all. So today we will we'll do that. Will you pray with me? God, when you sat in that upper room as Jesus incarnate and talked to your disciples that night, you said, this is my body, when you held up the bread. My body that will be given for you, broken for all of you, for the forgiveness of sins. And you asked that we remember you whenever we ate of it. And then you held up the cup and said, this is my blood, the blood of the new and everlasting covenant of love for all people. And whenever you drink of it, remember me. So God, we ask that you pour out your Holy Spirit on this cup and on this bread. Make them become for us the body and the blood of Christ also, so that we may become for the world the body of Christ and share your love in so many different ways. And all God's people said, amen. I'm going to invite you forward in just a second for communion.
Used to spend my nights out in the bar room. Liquor was the only love I had ever known. But you rescued me from reaching for the bottom. Brought me back from being too far gone. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy. Honey, I stay stoned on your love all the time. I look for love in all the same old places. Found the bottom of the bottle is always so dry. When you poured out your heart, I didn't waste it. Didn't waste it. 'Cause there's nothing like your love to get me high. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy. Honey, I stay stoned on your love all the time. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy. Honey, I stay stoned on your love all the time.
Great job, Steve.
Thank you. Hey, that was really great, man. Thank you. Yeah, I see how we teach you. Everything. Beethoven, Frank Sinatra. Yeah. I played piano for years. I want to learn how to play. Really. I studied classical music. I played music major. And it's like for church forever. Yeah. From the Baptist church, I played piano. Yeah. Hymns and like everything. So it's like I love playing piano. I don't have one, so I don't play. It's like I really want to learn how to play. Yeah, I bet. And it's not easy. It's not easy to learn. I don't play by ear. I can sight read on this thing. I don't play by ear, and that's what the challenge is. So, but I do love that's a skill. I can read music, but I'm not certainly not. Well, I wish I had. I wish I'd developed both of them. Yeah, me too. That's the thing. It's like most people I can't. Yeah. But here, you don't find people who can do both. Yeah. So like. Yeah. So I don't know. But anyway, it's great. You play local in here? Yeah. I'll be playing with the jazz club. Oh, okay, sweet. Well, this afternoon. Jazz club. I go there. Rolling Stones. Deep Purple. Beatles. Yeah. Beatles. So, miss you. You sing too? Yeah. We should work going. Oh yeah. That's great. Show me that. That's awesome. I'm gonna see around up here for the month. Yeah, I'm trying to develop my jazz. I remember live poetry school. So marching band. Oh, okay. Even yeah.
That's my jam today. I'm spraying.
I heard.
I've seen those. Yeah, I've seen
And
those.
when I started, I had to learn to play violin.
Oh, you did?
When I first started playing. Oh, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't have to remove the seat.
Thanks, Alan. Thank you, guys. That's cool. Yeah, that's a way to do it. And I know the music, I've studied music theory and relative majors, relative minors.
You have these passing tones.
Yeah. 1, 4, 5, minor 6. Like, I know all that.
And you play the notes of the chord and. So I have a good jazz. I have a good jazz